Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us for today's Future of Highways webinar. I am Dan Rosicki. I'm excited to have Tyler Lay with us today from Oklahoma State University. Tyler, say hello.
Hey, everybody. Thank you much for having me, Dan. I appreciate it.
Of course, of course. So let's jump into it. And if you could give us kind of a quick 1-minute summary kind of on your background and everything from where you grew up to how you're doing what you're doing today, I think that'd be a good intro. And then we'll talk a little bit about Future of Highways things.
No problem. I'm from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and I did my undergrad at Oklahoma State University, and that's where I'm at now. But between now and then, I did a graduate degree, a master's degree at UT Austin. I worked for a consultant. I worked for DOT, Texas DOT. I worked for a contractor, and then I went back and got a PhD. And I've been at Oklahoma State for the last 12 years now, and I'm pretty much obsessed with concrete, but in highway systems and infrastructure in general is the stuff I dream about and do research about.
Gotcha. Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about that. So what things are you doing these days at OSU, either teaching topics or research topics?
So I do all kinds of different stuff, but I focus a lot on concrete as a basic material. So the basic science of concrete. I also do things on pavement design and structural engineering design, mainly for concrete again. But again, it's all about infrastructure. But we focus on things like making concrete better, faster, cheaper, more durable, more sustainable. We develop tools for concrete, design methods, all kinds of different technologies. And again, I am a big fan. I really, really think we have to be dedicated to making our future infrastructure a big focus.
And so that's great. And so is that how you developed an interest in sort of these future of highways kind of topics?
No, totally. So, it's funny. We got tired of just doing incremental changes, just doing like a 5% change or 6% change. And we said, we needed a big change. We needed a really, really big game changer idea. And just so happens at the exact same time, there was a big proposal that was released by FHWA. That the challenge was, what is the next generation for durable infrastructure? Like, how can you do that? What is that all about? And it made us just really think in a totally different way, just really challenged ourselves. Can we do something differently? So we started to think to ourselves about our highway infrastructure. What is its biggest challenge? Well, it's just falling apart, right? It's falling apart at an insane pace, and we just can't keep doing the same stuff. We have to do something different. We have to try some kind of new concept to save our infrastructure. So we started saying, well, what is so hard on our infrastructure, on our concrete pavements, on our asphalt pavements, on our bridges? And we started to think about, well, the environment is bad, but another thing that's really bad is the loading, the truck loading that's on top of it. These trucks just pound it over and over and over and over again. A truck weighs 80,000 pounds. Isn't that insane? I mean, 80,000 pounds. Like, a sedan is like 3,000 pounds. These trucks are a whole lot heavier, so they do a whole lot more damage. So we said, trucks are cool, but they're so important, right? They like deliver $14 trillion in goods every year. That's like 50% of our gross domestic product. Dude, that is insane. So they're super important. We can't just get rid of trucks. And people have been talking about dedicated truck corridors forever. It's been something I think for decades people have been talking about, but people have been apprehensive about going that way because why am I going to pay for a new highway just for a truck? Why would I do that? But there's a lot of benefits to it though. Because if we can get these trucks off our main highways, our existing highways are going to last a lot longer, but it's just tough to get people to fund it. So then you have to start thinking, okay, what if we could come up with a solution that would be sustainable, one that would pay for itself? I think that's the key. And to do that, you have to find enough benefits for enough people. So we started to look at how could we benefit the trucking industry? And is there other things that we could get as well? But the trucks, their biggest challenge is drivers. Dude, did you know that drivers in trucks, there's like a 94% turnover rate on long haul trucking drivers. These are folks that spend more than 200 days out of the year on the road. And you could see why they might not like to spend 200 days out of the year on the road. It's kind of a tough job, right? And so this turnover rate's really a big deal. So they've been looking for new solutions. So what's the answer? Well, we know the answer. autonomous vehicles, right? Some kind of automated truck driving system. And that sounds cool and awesome, but we know that's not that easy. Not that easy at all, because we're crazy, dude. We drive like insane people sometimes. We text and drive and do all kinds of nutty stuff. And so the concept was, if we could make it easier for autonomous vehicles to be with other humans, then maybe that could help the trucking industry. And by making them together, maybe that could also help our roads. So then we said to ourselves, aha, what if we separated them? What if we separated the trucks from the rest of the vehicles? Sounds like a truck corridor, doesn't it? But once it's separated, we can design that truck corridor to be long lasting. We can design it with sensors to detect and know what was going on, if it was deteriorating, what the problems were, and continuously wire back to the trucks to keep them informed of what's happening. And maybe even like friction information on the surface of the roadway. So if it starts to rain or snow, they can like, oh, slow down, slow down. Or if it's not, you could like speed up and maybe get closer together. So there's tons of benefits with that. But if we have these trucks separated, we have our infrastructure smart and designed to be long lasting, like we're talking super 100-year-long pavement. But then once they're separated, the autonomous vehicle stuff becomes a whole lot easier. It becomes a whole lot simpler. And that was the game changer. And then we started to dig in. We started to realize that trucks, in just fuel costs, just fuel, okay, is 50 cents a mile. That's insane. But diesel's not cheap, and they're not super efficient vehicles. But with this autonomous vehicle, maybe you could go electric as well. And I want to actually, could I show you some pictures? I've got some.
Absolutely. That'd be great. This is fascinating stuff.
Let me pull it up. Because like I told you, I'm like obsessed with this stuff. So let me share some pictures here. Let's see here. How's that look? You see it okay?
Yeah, I see it great. Go ahead. That's great.
Awesome. So here's kind of this overview. This, and it's not going to look exactly like this. But here's kind of the vision for what it looks like. Where we have these trucks that are separated, right? And these trucks are autonomous, so they're able to drive pretty close to one another. And again, communicate with the pavement and the trucks simultaneously. But these trucks are autonomous, of course, so they can drive by themselves. But another thing that's really cool is that there's a lot of right-of-way, not everywhere, but there's a lot of right-of-way that exists in existing highway systems. So if we could tie this whole idea, this whole separated truck corridor into the right-of-way for existing highways, I think that's like a big idea. And this concept is called the Autonomous Truck Corridor, ATC. I mean, dude, what a name, right? ATC, right? Well, this ATC is going to go right there in the center, right in that big wasted space in the center, but it wouldn't have to go there. It could go on the outsides, or maybe it could be its own thing. So don't get caught up in the negatives here. Just see the dream here. So, you can see the ATC on the sides. You can see the existing roadways. They're separated. Because they're separated with barriers, they can all talk to themselves. We're not worried about autonomous vehicles mixing with other vehicles, right? But there's more. There's more. What if you had overhead power lines, right? What if these trucks then could connect to the overhead power lines? You're like, dude, this sounds insane, like space age stuff. But it's like a train. It's like electric trains that we have right now all over the place. And there's, believe it or not, there's trucks that already do this, okay? In Europe, they're already doing this. They're already building small sections of roadway, okay? They're not doing autonomous, right? They're not doing that, and they're not separating everything, but they're having one lane where these trucks are running. So this is like not just some crazy idea. These people are bits and pieces of it are actually catching on. You know what? And this was a team effort. This was Oklahoma State University, Penn State University, and UNC Charlotte, a bunch of amazing, awesome people at all those universities. And but a special a person that really contributed to this was Paul Tukowski, who has been a long-time person in the infrastructure, durability, system design roadway. He has a huge concept and ideas in all this. And so, just in summary, I know I've been talking and blabbing and all that stuff like that, but just, in summary, what's going on with this is like, dude, there are some like significant benefits. I mean, just major benefits. I mean, imagine if you could get your Amazon Prime even faster. You know what I mean? But every single business is going to benefit if they can get their material to them faster, and if they know when they're coming. If we can get our roads to last longer, why? Because we get these trucks off the roadway. You know, anyone that's done roadway design knows that it's all about trucks. It's all about truck traffic. And same thing with bridges. It's all about how many trucks are going to be on that bridge or road. If we can minimize that number, oh, baby, existing roadways are going to last a lot longer. And it could maybe change how we design, how we think. Maybe we have these big, beefy sections where the trucks go. And then maybe we have a thinner, less beefy section where we have normal traffic go. So there's lots of stuff to think about. But now think about this too. Think about how much more capacity you just freed up. We don't have those trucks on the roadway. That's a huge benefit. Think about the safety improvements. Trucks are awesome, totally awesome. You know, they're responsible for 4,000 deaths a year. 4,000 deaths a year. And less than 10% of those deaths are from people driving the trucks. What that means is that when a truck has an accident, it's a danger to a lot of the other passengers around it. It's a big deal. And you know what? If we go electric, we go overhead power, we're going to be able to save on diesel big time. We're going to have less greenhouse gas emissions, but this is the place where it can pay for itself. Because if diesel costs 50 cents a mile, and if we think we can get the just the fuel cost down to about 12 cents to about 15 cents a mile. There's a lot of savings there. We think we could charge a toll of about 25 to 30 cents a mile. I know that sounds high. I know that sounds really high. I know that's different than what we're charging now of like just $1 to get on and off. I know that's different. But think of all the benefits these truckers or this trucking industry is getting. Faster delivery. They're going to make more money. More reliable drivers, okay? Again, that's going to help them. Less wrecks and accidents because they're separated. That's going to help a lot. Less fuel costs, another huge benefit. I mean, there's just tons of benefits. And so I think taking some amount of money from them to help pay for this, I think that makes a lot of sense. So I apologize for going off on that spiel there, but you can see that like this is something I've thought a lot about and my team has thought a whole lot about. And I think it's got a lot of potential.
So that's absolutely fascinating stuff. That's wonderful, Tyler. Thank you so much. Just a couple of quick questions about it then. So you know, the concept that you're providing is autonomous truck corridors, but a lot of the benefits that you're talking about seem like we could maybe phase into those benefits even before we reach full level 5 true autonomy. Is
Definitely.
that a possibility that this might that we sort of phase in with the level 3 that we have today?
I love it. I love where you're going with this. I'm laying the dream out. You know what I mean? You got to lay the dream. You got to lay where you're going to go, and then you're dead right. We got to take baby steps to get there, right? And whatever those baby steps need to be to get there, we got to start doing them. And we got to start today, all right? Because the longer we wait, that's the problem. Right. The longer it takes us to get to wherever we're going to get to be. Sure. You know, people say all the time, how do you know what this is going to be? What if technology changes? Guess what? Technology changes all the time. But we would never buy like a computer or a smartphone or like a car or pretty much anything if we wanted to wait until the technology became like stable, because it won't. It's always going to get better. We got to start. We got to get going. But brother, I agree with you. Whatever we need to do, it probably won't be autonomous first. It'll probably be some other piece of this. But I think we got to lay the dream out. We got to see where we think we can get to. Because I really think this put together as a package can pay for itself, right? All right.
So I was going to ask you for contact info that we could give out to people who are just listening to this in case they can't see the screen.
Sure.
And I'll ask you to repeat it at the end of this webinar. But do you want people to? I mean, so people are very interested in this concept. How should they reach out to you by email or phone, or what would you prefer?
They can email help the ATC at gmail.com, right?
Okay.
And I also have YouTube videos that I've explained all this too. So they can share that with their friends, and I've gone into even more detail right there. And you can find that by going to my website, tylerdelay.com/ATC. And there's a link to my videos on there.
Awesome. And tylerley.com is TYLERLEY, right?
That's right. It's the only way to spell it, baby.
Okay. So tell us a little bit more about where you see the ATC idea going. I mean, as you're saying, we kind of need to start now with baby steps, but what things would you like to see state DOTs doing with this ATC idea?
Well, I think people need to start with whatever they're comfortable with. So I know it's tough to do a separated lane, but I'll tell you, I think you should think about it, because I think you can design that lane to be very, very long lasting, and you can get some designs in the field today and see in 5 years or 10 years, how are they really, really performing. There's a lot of research. I've done some of it. A lot of other great people doing it as well to try to design long-lasting infrastructure. They need to be implementing that now, right? Like right away.
And so is that a matter of, I mean, I'm trying to think of, if a state DOT, so I want to ask you about state DOTs, and I want to ask you about the driving public. So if a state DOT person is watching or listening to this right now, I mean, what is the next step? Is it for them to start looking into feasibility studies, or talking to their researchers, or reaching out to you to figure out kind of what the next steps are? Like what do you think that a state DOT person, could be doing as sort of their first steps?
Well, I would love to help them. I'd be happy to, but there's plenty of people that can help them though. They need to pick a segment, right? One project that they're happy with.
So find like a candidate section location.
Definitely. They need to find one section that they want to do. The one that you have to repair over and over and over again? Like, why don't we try something different there? You know what I mean? Like, why don't we really try to do something in a totally different approach? And that segment is where I think you need to start really dedicating yourself to designing for long life pavement. And by that, I mean for traffic count. I also mean for durability and actual exposure. And you need to that needs to become part of your best practices. Now, if you already think you have that, that's awesome. Now let's think about making that a truck lane. Let's think about getting those trucks on that part. Think about that process. Now, you don't have to execute, but let's go through that mental thought process. What would I have to do? What would my sections look like? What would my designs look like? Now, if you're willing to take the next step and build it, that would be amazing. I think that would be the next step. And then you should allow those things to be autonomous if you're willing. And then I think that's a great place to start out with. I think the overhead power lines are cool. I think they would be awesome. I think in certain stretches, they are a game changer. But for a lot of DOTs, let's just get in this idea of separating the trucks, designing for long-lasting infrastructure, and let's think about making them semi-autonomous on those roadways.
Gotcha. That's great. All right, that's awesome. And then for the average, for the average public, the average driver, what things could they be doing today?
And they need to push people about the ATC. They need to be sending the YouTube videos to other people. They need to be sending this video to other people. They need to be letting people know that the future is coming, all right? And they need to be open-minded. The future is going to look different than what it is today. It has to. It has to. We cannot keep doing what we're doing now. It's too costly. It's too expensive. It's not working. Now, we could fix all our roads today. We could. But we don't have the money to do all kinds of stuff, and we don't really have the money to do that, I don't think, in this country right now.
Yeah, so that's a really good point. Can you talk just for a minute about to help the average driver, somebody who's not necessarily in the industry that you and I are in, to help the average driver understand how is that going to benefit them if we get trucks off the main lanes and have trucks in dedicated lanes like that?
Yeah, for average drivers, this benefits you a huge amount. I mean, it would reduce the number of trucks you drive with. Trucks are kind of scary, and it's going to make you safer. It's going to give more capacity to the roadways, so there'll be less congestion, right? It's going to make your roads last longer, so there's going to be less repairs that have to be done on them. And I think, and we've got a lot of analysis to show that you're going to pay less taxes in the long run. There'll be less repairs and less money spent because you'll be designing specific roadways for specific vehicles and then making them economic enough to pay for themselves, right? And I think that's the big change. So I know it's strange to think, why would we put all this money into this stuff for trucks? But the benefits for you, for the driving public, are better than anybody. They outweigh more than anybody else. We do have to make sure that industry pays its fair share. We do have to make sure that what they pay is fair and reasonable and will sustain that infrastructure for whatever it needs in the future.
That's great. Tyler, thank you so much. I think we are about out of time. Is there anything else that was on your mind that you wanted to touch on before we go?
Hey, thank you so much for having me. If you wanted to check me out, I've got my own website. I said that earlier, but it's just tylerlay.com. You can also have my own YouTube channel. Yeah, youtube.com/Tyler Lay. Yeah, they gave me my own URL on YouTube, right? But I talk about ATC, I talk about concrete, I talk about infrastructure, I talk about all kinds of stuff that I'm like a total geek about. And so please check it out. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate what you're doing.
Sure thing. All right. So tylerlay.com, the YouTube channel. And then you said the email address was help, H-E-L-P, the T-H-E-A-T-C.
Help.
Was that right?
The ATC at gmail.com. Help the ATC at gmail.com.
Fantastic. All right, Tyler, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us and listening. And we'll see you again soon. Thanks a lot, Tyler.
Thank you.